Welcome to Safety Shorts. Whether you're listening in for a toolbox talk or just tuning in to see what's new and reflect on safety, we hope our episodes are the perfect bite-sized portion to fit in your day. From this series, you can expect to hear about safety tips and best practices, learn about new ideas, and most of all, listen to safety stories from our industry guests and hear about their lessons learned. Hi, I'm Emily Hargrove, Director of Occupational Health and Safety for NSSGA. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Safety Shorts, and a very happy new year to all of our listeners. It's the start of a new year, an opportunity to refresh and take another look at how we choose to approach safety and health and our leadership in those areas generally. With me today to address just that is Ross Boeker, Manager of Safety Services with the Corporate Safety, Health, and Environmental Department at Vulcan Materials Company. Ross, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Emily. It's great to be here, and I appreciate you asking me to be a part of the podcast.
Recently, you mentioned that you finished a book that provided some solid takeaways on leadership. I thought this could be a great way to start off the year on Safety Shorts by talking about leadership in safety and health.
Yeah, absolutely. So the book I mentioned, I actually just finished up a couple days ago, but I was in the middle of it when we last spoke. And the book is Clarity and Chaos, Lead with Purpose in Disruptive Times by Megan Tranter, which was just published earlier this year. And when we spoke, I think it was just a good time. I just read a particular chapter where there were a couple things that really jumped out at me. And the first one is a crucial element of leading with a growth mindset is encouraging experimentation. And I really paused with that and thought of a couple times in my career where not affording end users or stakeholders to experiment or have input kind of backfired and led to some problems. And then a more recent example where some experimentation came kind of organically from stakeholders that led to a better product. Quick example, I previously worked in primary metals, and I came into the organization where there had just been a pretty significant accident where an employee was badly burned from exposure to molten metal. And basically, safety and health leaders in the organization mandated specific flame retardant personal protective equipment for all the operations, and really without any input. And it was good PPE for the hazards, but kind of took a one-size-fits-all approach. And one of the facilities that I supported was having some problems with acceptance with their bargaining unit and compliance. So they worked with that bargaining unit to come up with an alternative. The workers accepted and provided adequate protection. And when I brought that back, it just wasn't received very well. It kind of got looked at and said, well, this doesn't meet the requirements that we outlined, and actually got thrown in the corner of the office where it sat for 2 years. Fast forward a couple of years later, where it was decided to go ahead and open up and allow facilities to present other materials to be tested for their protection value. And guess which PPE of all the fabrics tested actually had the best test results of everything. It was the one that was developed at the site level with the partnership of the bargaining unit.
I've been sitting there for 2 years, yeah.
It has been sitting in the corner of an office for 2 years, and I think that was just really an opportunity lost. In the end, it worked out fine, but it took a while to get there. So that was kind of an opportunity missed. And during that whole time, there were struggles with compliance and molten metal PPE and people not wanting to wear it or not have it buttoned up properly or whatever. But more recently, a good example is one of the really big activities and part of our fatality prevention program at Vulcan over the last couple of years has been our SIF observations. And we could talk about those in detail maybe another time. But one of our divisions, the road construction division, had been using the templates and the questions that we had put together for all the other lines of business. And it was kind of a square peg in a round hole. So they weren't really getting as much value out of them as they had been designed for. And the division actually came and said, hey, we'd like to add an additional high-risk category, which is public traffic exposure, which is really important to us and our most primary high-risk activity. So the division safety and health department worked very closely with the people in the field and developed a whole new category for our fatality prevention program, identified what the critical controls were, and suggested questions to incorporate into those SIF observations. And the end product was something that really serves their purposes a lot better. They're getting a lot more out of the observations, and it was a win-win. It's better for them, and really helps us overall identify some of the obstacles and hazards that they deal with.
I bet they appreciate that you took their insights. I imagine that helps to build trust in the safety program.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the key is when you allow stakeholders to experiment and have input, that leads to innovation and really a greater sense of ownership. If somebody's given a solution like the PPE example I used earlier, and they had absolutely no input into that solution, whether it's PPE or a type of guarding or whatever, it might address the problem, but you kind of lose the people who are most closely impacted owning that problem because they weren't a part of the solution.
What do you think is the biggest takeaway when you allow experimentation with safety and health?
Well, I think it also leads to trust and helps build trust. And I think acknowledging that you don't have all the answers or you don't know everything, you don't show up as the knower of things, and being vulnerable. It's kind of a buzzword right now, but I think that's important. And that's something also that Tranter indicated in her book. One of the quotes I have here was that a leader with a growth mindset knows the importance of modeling vulnerability. Showing that you don't have all the answers and are willing to learn from others demonstrates authenticity and openness, which creates trust. I know it's been talked a lot, maybe even on this podcast, but in several other podcasts, and the safety profession overall, is a lot of us deal with imposter syndrome. And I think acknowledging that there are things that you don't know and that you don't have all the answers, but you're willing to work through them together helps kind of offset that imposter syndrome. And at the same time, you're building a relationship and increasing trust, which pays dividends for a long time.
I agree. I often start conversations with, I don't know what I don't know. So there are the things you know about that you don't know. And then there's an extra category of, I don't even know what it is that I don't know. I think this conversation of leading with humility and looking for answers from everywhere is valuable as we look at different systems and how they work.
Absolutely. And I think being humble and soliciting input and accept input, even if you haven't asked for it, sometimes that's hard to do. But your eyes might be open to obstacles that you didn't even know existed. And back to asking questions and soliciting input, Edgar Schein used the phrase humble inquiry. And I think that just builds trust. It shows that you don't have all the answers, but also if you go out, especially to workers in the field or those who are in the division that have perspectives and look through a different lens than maybe you do at a corporate level or from an office, it shows that you're genuinely interested in learning and pursuing mutual gains.
Ross, thank you again for being here. I appreciate your thoughts and insights as folks are looking at this new year and how to tackle safety and health issues. I hope they take what you share with us to heart.
Absolutely. Thanks again for having me. This was great.
Thank you to all our listeners for tuning in today. I'm Emily Hargrove. Until next time, stay safe.